Hi, I'm Kay and thank you for visiting my channel. So I used to be a massive binge eater and now I am a health coach and I'm a personal trainer, and I help people change their relationship with food and stop being controlled by food. In my last video I explained to you why binge eating or emotional eating is not your fault and has nothing to do with your willpower. And today I thought I'd share with you my binge story and how I got from there to where I am now. I don't know exactly when my binge eating started. There was no event that particularly triggered it, or there wasn't a date that I remember where it started. As a kid, I always had a really healthy appetite. I actually absolutely loved healthy food. I love vegetables, I love fruit. I also really loved junk food, especially sweet things, but it was something that we just never ate very often because my parents wouldn't let us. I've always had a really healthy appetite. And I do remember from about the age of 15 onwards being, obviously just, going through your teenage years and all the hormones and starting to become self-conscious of my body. And, the thing that I was really self-conscious of was my stomach. And, I don't have any pictures of myself in a bikini or anything, so I can't look at it and kind of, object. But I know that I wasn't big, and it was obviously just a kind of something that I had going on in my head. But to be honest, this thought of being self-conscious about my stomach has never really gone away. And all throughout my life I've always been able to eat as much as I want and never really put any weight on, and my body never really changed. I have always been pretty active on and off, and from about my early 20s I've been really active. Always going to the gym quite regularly, and I've done a few marathons, a few half marathons, and I've done quite a lot of stuff keeping myself active. Though most of the reasons for doing all of that stuff was because I always wanted to try and lose weight. I've never been overweight. Even when I was at my heaviest, I was still never technically quite overweight. But I said I was self-conscious about my stomach, and I just thought doing lots of cardio was the way to get a flat stomach. So that's what I used to do. And as I said, I don't know when my binge eating really started, but I'd say it was probably around 2007, 2008. And for some reason I started categorizing my days into good days and bad days. And a good day would mean that I would eat really healthy food, but not very much of it, and I would just go to the gym and do a couple of classes back to back, or I'd been in the gym for kind of at least 2 hours, mainly just kind of on the cardio machines and then maybe doing a few sit-ups at the end. And then I would also have bad days where if I was having a bad day, then I would eat absolutely anything that I wanted, and I really binged. My intention was always to have a good day, but as soon as I have a bite of something sweet, like the tiniest bite, I would think to myself, well, I've absolutely blown it now, so I might as well just have a bad day, which meant I might as well just be really bad. So I would really go for it. And I would think to myself, the diet will start again tomorrow, I'll be good again tomorrow, and that would be it for the rest of my life. So this is going to be the last day that I'm ever going to eat any of this stuff, so I might as well just stuff my face and just literally eat as much as I possibly could. So that was my mindset, and the binge days then just became a lot more frequent. And because they became a lot more frequent, I'd go on, my good days would become even more extreme, because I thought, I have to kind of balance out the bad days. And my thinking for all of this was always about my weight. I was so obsessed about my weight and and my stomach. And the fact is, I was still getting bigger. I didn't get too big, and I think it probably was because I was having these good days, which weren't good in any way whatsoever, because they were so extreme. Really isn't healthy to overtrain or to not eat enough. Even if it was kind of nourishing foods that I was eating. I never quite got overweight, but I definitely did put on weight. And the reason I put on so much weight is kind of funny. So I started weighing myself in kilos instead of in stones and pounds, which is what I'd been used to doing my whole life, because of the cardio machines. So, at the gym. So I always, got on the cardio machines, always putting my weight so that it would work out my calories, which, by the way, is absolute total rubbish. Don't ever use the calorie counters on these machines, because they are massively wrong. Because the only information they have about you is your weight, and that is just not enough to work out your calories at all, so just don't bother with them, as a side note. But because I was so obsessed with putting my weight in and stuff, in these machines, I started weighing myself in kilos, and even though I am actually good at maths, for some reason in my head I didn't kind of twig the difference between pounds and kilos. So even though it's actually 2.2 pounds to a kilo, every time I put on a kilo, I just kind of interpret that in my head as the same as I've put on a pound. So I could see that my kilos were going up, but it kind of seemed kind of gradual, and as I said, I was still seeing it in my head as though it was the same as pounds. So it was one time when I actually weighed myself in stones and pounds that I realised how much weight I'd put on, and it was absolutely shocking. But I just couldn't get over this binging. It was just making me do it even more and more. And I would do it in secret. I would be eating in secret most of the time. And I'm telling you, the kind of portions I'm talking about here, right? Like, a 3/4 to a whole loaf of bread with like Nutella or peanut butter on each slice. Talking about whole family cakes, talking about whole packets of biscuits, whole packets of like nuts with chocolate on them, that kind of thing. And that would be a part of my day. That's not even like what I'd eat for the whole day. That would just be one part. And then all I would be doing for the rest of the day is thinking, what else am I going to eat later? I might be like really full then, and sometimes I get to the point I'd be so full that I would actually try and make myself sick because I was in so much pain. But I have to say I'm really glad that I couldn't do it. I just can't make myself sick. And I'm really glad I couldn't, because I think I would have done that a lot more regularly. But that is how bad I was. I knew I was full. I would keep stuff in my face until I got to the point I would be in pain. And as I said, I would be doing this a good few times a week. For the other few times a week, I'd kind of end up almost starving myself and going to the gym for hours. And going back to my video that I posted last week, it's not my willpower that made me give in to this and and made me crave this food. I mean, I was starving myself and doing too much exercise. Of course, my body was crying out for food. Absolutely nothing to do with me. But the other thing that was happening at the same time was that I had terrible sleeping problems, and I was suffering with insomnia for about a good 6 years. Kept going to the doctors, they couldn't help me, and I just spent, I'd say, about 6 years being absolutely exhausted all the time. I also suffered with the IBS, and I couldn't drink coffee because that would trigger it. So I would eat. So, I was kind of justifying my eating, with my lack of sleep and the fact that I was tired and my body needed it. And once I found out that your hunger hormones also just go absolutely out of whack when you haven't slept enough, again, I use that to justify my binging, saying that my hormones, they're the ones that's causing this craving and my body needs it. So I would keep eating. So what really changed for me? I tried so many diets. Every time I'd go on a new diet, I think, right, this is it. I am going to do it this time. I'm going to beat this for good. And it would just never last. I'd do it for maybe 2 weeks at the absolute most, and that would only happen as well if I had like a holiday or something quite imminent that was coming up that I'd have to get into a bikini for. That would be the only way that my resilience would kind of hold out and I'd actually be able to do this kind of diet for that long a time. I kept trying new things, and I was also researching a lot about the mindset and how to change all that. And I started incorporating different things into my life and not just changing what I was eating. And this was the only way that made a massive difference for me. So the little words like can't, so don't say, so I stopped saying things like I can't have chocolate. I started saying I'm choosing not to have chocolate. And I started focusing on my health as well, as opposed to focusing on my weight. And actually that makes a massive difference, because a diet can always start tomorrow. It's not the end of the world if you don't lose weight. As much as you desperately want to, it's not the end of the world actually if you don't lose weight tomorrow or by next week. But if you ask yourself, when do you actually want to feel good? When do you want to have energy? When do you want to, feel amazing? Then that kind of changes the answer a little bit. And I found out I had something called adrenal fatigue, and that is what was actually causing my sleep problems. And I also found out that to get over adrenal fatigue, you really have to change your lifestyle and your diet. And if you don't change, then you can actually get to the point where you can't even get out of bed. and I thought there is no way that that is happening, and that is what really kind of changed things for me. So, you know, I always say to people, you know, you need to know why you're doing this. You know, losing weight isn't enough. If you want to lose weight, that's fine, but why do you want to lose weight? Really go into the details of why you want to achieve what you want to achieve. And, you know, I kept doing these things, and I actually went to see a cognitive behavioural therapist as well for a couple of sessions, which really helped. And I remember I was at work one day, so this is when I was still working in an office, and I think offices are one of the worst places if you're trying to change your lifestyle or if you're on a diet or anything like that, because there's always biscuits and chocolate and things like that lying around. And you know, someone had come back from holiday and bought a load of sweets from wherever they'd been, and they'd put it out on the desk like, you know, like people always did when they came back from holiday. And I remember I got up and I went over to the table and I had a look, and I thought, I don't want it. And, you know, everything on there looked nice, you know, it was all things that I would have liked. And it's not like I didn't want it, as in I kind of thought, you know, it wasn't making me feel sick or anything like that. But my want to be healthy was actually stronger than my want for, you know, what was there. And it was a really weird feeling for me, and I thought, oh, this is really strange. And I kind of sat back down at my desk and I thought, it's really weird, I don't feel deprived, I just don't want that food. And from then on, you know, I've changed so many things in my life, but I've done it kind of gradually. There's not been a massive overhaul that I've done, you know, overnight or in a week or anything like that. I've done this gradually, which I think has also really helped as well. And you know, I just want people to know that you can live your life, you can have a good life without food. You know, I used to think that I couldn't live without food. I didn't want to live without chocolate, without cake, without donuts. I just didn't want to do that. And you know, when I went to the cognitive behavioural therapy guy, I actually, you know, my thing for him was actually, you know, I said, I want to be able to control myself around this food. I don't want to not eat it. I just want to be able to have one slice of cake and that's it. You know, that was my kind of you know, goal for him that I wanted him to help me achieve. I never in a million years imagined that I'd get to a place where I don't want this food most of the time, and I'm actually happy. You know, I thought that not eating this food would really make me unhappy and it's not worth it, but that's not true. You know, I'm the happiest I've ever been, and I just don't want junk food anymore. Most of the time. I'm not saying I never eat this stuff, but most of the time I just don't want it. And you know, it's absolutely incredible. And you know, so my sleep has improved, which means my energy has improved, and it's actually cleared up my skin. You know, it's something that I didn't think was possible. I mean, I spent so much money on skin stuff because my skin got really bad, you know, with spots, you know, when my binging was at its worst. And now I barely spend any money, I barely use any products, and my skin's really cleared up. Also my periods are back, and they're really regular. That's another thing, side effect of my lifestyle. My periods just disappeared. You know, and I've lost weight and I've kept it off, and I never ever thought that I would be able to do this, because everyone can lose weight. I mean, I always managed to lose weight just before a holiday or whatever, but it always came straight back on again. And then the scales just kept getting higher and higher and higher, you know, with each month and year that went by. And you know, I've maintained this weight now for well over a year. And as I said, I never thought I'd be able to do this without feeling deprived and without feeling sad and without feeling terrible that I couldn't eat this junk food. And you know, I just don't need this stuff anymore. So I really hope this was useful. So I just want you to know that you're not alone. I know a lot of people going through what I went through, but at the time I didn't really tell people what was happening, and as I said, I was doing a lot of my eating in secret, so I thought I was just a freak and it was just me, but it's not. You know, loads of people are going through the same thing. And my video next week is going to show you all the steps that I took to help me get over this binge eating, and you know, doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to work for you, but I do hope that some of the things I'm going to share with you is going to help you, or if not, at least give you some ideas of things that you can try. So I hope that you like this video. Please subscribe to my channel, as I post 2 videos every single week showing you how you can live a healthy life that's sustainable and maintainable for the rest of your life. And I'll see you soon. Bye!